Hey everyone, what a week it has been in crypto. Well, before we get to this week, I want to do some shout outs, especially to Donnie Glover. Thanks for having me on this platform. You guys need to check out his morning shows. He's doing a great job every morning, and he's got some great guests and some equally engaging conversations. So check out Donnie Glover's Black USA Morning Show. Also, check out Sister Biz with Nicole and Tamara. They are so informative, and I would like to thank them too for having me on their show as well. They're just handling their business, sister business, or Sister Biz, excuse me. And of course, check out the Black Business Roundtable every Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, with Doug Blacksher. Doug Blacksher is a great guy. He's very knowledgeable. He's really trying to drum up Black business conciliation and consortiums. So, I really applaud him for all the networking that he's doing and the hard work that he puts into his show. So, I said I would talk about the news. And something I wanted to go back to from last week was this big story about El Salvador. And, there's a lot of mixed reactions, but there's a lot of people who are praising this decision by the El Salvadorian government. And, it's interesting to hear this. It's great for mass adoption. But something I do want to share with you guys is a story that I came across when doing my research. And, it's interesting. This comes out of Human Rights Watch, and it came out in May of this year about how the U.S. can stop El Salvador's slide into authoritarianism. Now's the time to act. Well, some people don't necessarily trust Human Rights Watch as an outlet. I think they have some pretty decent coverage myself, and this is a story worth looking into. So, something like this going on, is it really a good thing for Bitcoin? Is it really a good thing for the people of El Salvador? You guys have to come to your own decisions and do your own research, and inform yourselves too about some of this stuff. But I just wanted to bring this to your attention, and it's really talking about how the president of El Salvador is consolidating power within the country. Very interesting read, and once again, it's coming out of Human Rights Watch. The next thing I want to show you guys is the Cage Chain newsletter. Cage Chain is one of the longest running free newsletters on blockchain, cryptocurrencies, DeFi, and NFTs. One of the longest running, once again, free resources out there that's going to keep you up to date. It's a midweek newsletter. And so what did we talk about this week? Well, what we're talking about today, hip hop coins. It's the next step in the evolution of hip hop. And our guest today, Christopher Lafayette, will go into this a little bit more. Also, you can catch last week's show with Bryce Wiener. One of the other top stories we had was about Kim Kardashian, other celebrities rallying around Ethereum Max. What is Ethereum Max? That is a great question. You got to read this story once again and come to your own conclusion on whether or not Ethereum Max is something worth pursuing. Anytime you see celebrities rallying around a certain project, you should have a little bit of pause. You can look into numerous Securities and Exchange Commission cases where celebrities have been sanctioned due to their involvement in these projects. Another story this week is Maxine Waters is announcing a congressional working group on crypto. This is a good thing. We need sensible regulation around cryptocurrencies and DeFi. Now, whether or not that's going to come out of this working group will be interesting, but at least they're open to the idea of examining cryptocurrencies. So, I also had a couple stories in here about how cryptocurrencies and blockchain are affecting Africa. And, I always keep an eye on Africa. And this is a funny piece on the Schiller's List. It talks about how social media influencers try to, once again, promote certain projects and how sometimes it doesn't always work out for the people who are following these influencers. So check it out. You can go to cagechain.io and subscribe once again to this free midweek newsletter. And next, hey, check out my website. It's www.kamalrhubbard.com. And you can pick up the book, my book, DeFi for the Diaspora, where I talk about decentralized finance. I really break it down. What is it? I break it down into layman's terms, talk about Bitcoin and its intersection with white supremacy and how it's not the best solution for the diaspora in terms of creating an economical or an equitable economic ecosystem. It's a lot of E's. But regardless, last month I had a free book giveaway. This month, what I'd like to do for you guys out there who are watching, anybody who would like to just ask some general questions, feel free to drop it in my contact form. Put Black USA News and put in Discovery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take your email and I'm going to put you on a list for a free webinar that I'm going to put together. When I get to a certain amount of people who want to do this, I'll hop on a webinar with you guys and we can talk about different things that are cryptocurrency related. So look forward to engaging with all of you on this and talking to you some more. So, today my guest is Christopher Lafayette, and wanted to talk to him about a number of things in terms of emerging technologies, in particular NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And non-fungible tokens mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The biggest thing about NFTs is that they are regarded as collectibles. And, it's a way for people to have a one-to-one token. So I guess a good example of an NFT recently is Rob Gronkowski. He put out a series of essentially electronic trading cards. And, those sold for quite a bit. And we're seeing it being embraced by artists in the art world as well. And it's going to create a new industry of collectibles, digital collectibles, where people who have this non-fungible token, this one-to-one token, or however many tokens really an artist wants to issue, it allows this opportunity for someone to say, hey, I am the owner of this electronic piece of artwork or intellectual property. Now, what's the future of NFTs? Once again, the large auction houses like Sotheby's and Christie's are getting involved in NFT auctions. So once again, that should give you an idea of just how much this industry is going to grow. I mean, I think estimates are easily in the billions. So, once again, we're going from physical, let's just say trading cards, to actual electronic trading cards, just like we're able to do with coins, right? Our coins went from digital from physical, to digital. So that's what's happening with NFTs. They are trading new era trading cards, I guess, best way to put it. So, there's so many great NFT platforms out there, of course. And the one in particular, once again, that I wanted to talk about was Hip Hop Coins. And let me actually bring that up. So bear with me for a second here. Go back to my newsletter real quick. And we're going to check out Hip Hop Coins. Of course, Hip Hop Coins can be found at hiphopcoins.com. And there's so much going on this website. I really have to applaud the people there. So this is an NFT marketplace for once again, hip hop artists. And let's check out some of the art here. Inspired by Ice Cube, Lauryn Hill, Dr. Dre, Jay Dilla, and so many more. I know this platform is growing. It's really a great way for independent artists to get out there, get their name out there, get their art out there, and really have a chance to get exposure, as well as be able to capture as much of the revenue as possible that comes in from their art. And so
howdy.
Hey, Chris.
Kamal.
I was just telling everybody about Hip Hop Coins. So let me stop the screen share. Chris, I'm so happy to have you here this afternoon with us, this evening with us, to talk about Hip Hop Coins. Why don't you introduce yourself to the Black USA Crypto News audience?
First of all, thank you for everything that you're doing in our communities, especially with reaching out and just your leadership and just your expertise that I know I've benefited from for so many years, Kamal, in the crypto space and learning about crypto assets and so many things that I've heard you eloquently express for years now here in Silicon Valley, and just all the things that are happening with Black USA News and everything that it represents in fintech. A little bit about myself. My name is Christopher Lafayette, international and national speaker on emergent technologies. I have a passion for studying emergent technologies here in Silicon, and have been invited to speak on several different subject matters, whether we're dealing with fintech, cryptocurrencies, but mainly in the medical technology side, and in the XR, extended reality, for virtual, augmented, and mixed reality, and artificial intelligence. Now founder or co-founder of Hip Hop Coins, and I'm happy to share more about that today, along with many other things.
Yeah, well, you know what I wanted to start with is AR, VR. You've been a leader in that industry for years now. That's how we got a chance to meet each other at the Kapoor Center, talking about AR, VR, and blockchain. How did you get involved in AR, VR, and what are you doing nowadays in that space?
Well, it's a space that I've been familiar with for some years now, but I primarily got involved just by osmosis here in Silicon Valley and seeing this technology and really being intrigued by it. But I've been intrigued by it for decades. But its capability, and I've known for some time that when it comes to mixed reality and virtual reality, is that the idea was never for us to continue to look at our devices and to continue to look at them, but the idea was for us one day to ingress and to get into them, and that's part of the intention of the technology itself. And I just became a student, just like anyone else becomes a student of anything that she or he has a passion for or cares for. And I found myself going deeper into it and understanding that there's layers to technology. There's ethnography that comes with it. There's a history, and being able to work with those. And I found myself having opportunities to work with some of the pioneers that built this technology, both women and men alike, and to be able to understand what were their intentions for it, even in times that you go all the way back to the 1900s, if you will, and furthermore, you know. And so I really wanted to understand the study of space. I really wanted to understand, anatomically speaking, how this technology would help us to greater understand the human body and internally and external anatomics. And then even furthermore, understanding how this technology would abide with what I call the great eco-habitat, where all other technologies abide.
You know, I kind of have a funny story about AR, VR, and its intersection with blockchain. I don't know if I ever told you that about what a prospective client came to me with an idea of having a conference on VR that was paid for in a cryptocurrency, and everybody has avatars and things like that. And this is back in, I think, 2000,
Right.
The latter part of 2017. Right. Decentraland had just come out, but at the same time, I was just like, wow, that's kind of out there. But you know, that's where we are now today with a lot of NFT shows that I'm seeing. A lot of DJ shows are being held over VR. So, you know, I should have got in early. That's all I could say.
Well, you know, I think if you look at, and you're bringing up Decentraland, you know, they were a precursor to meta worlds and metaverses that we're building right now. You know, it's still very early. It's still very early stage in terms of it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, in these virtual environments, we'll find ourselves doing buy, sell, trade, NFTs, and DeFi has a home there. Crypto assets have a home there, and NFT assets have a home there. You know, we'll start to see how that will work, whether we're going with proof of work or proof of stake. Everything that's involved within that space, and all the way, and you know it better than I, Kamal, when we start talking about smart contracts and how that will play out throughout ecologically through virtual and have its real world implications in physical worlds as well, in concert with one another. But with what we're doing, and we'll talk about a little bit more in regards to hip hop coins, it's really going in that direction of building metaverses. And I am involved with several different projects horizontally with multiple different metaverse projects. Some I could talk about, some I can't. But that's exactly where we're heading into. And that's what I mean. And I'm so glad you brought this up. And it's interesting that you said it the way you said it, because I don't think you're alone in that observation of XR, and given your expertise and background in fintech, is that all technologies abide within the eco-habitat. You'll have artificial intelligence, which may be flanked by machine learning and deep learning, and you have extended reality or spatial computing, which is flanked by augmented and virtual mixed reality and haptics and visio haptics, and then you may have roboticism that you can see that's flanked by androids and mechs, fintech, cryptocurrencies, DeFi, crypto assets, NFT, but they all abide together within the eco-habitat. But what we're seeing, Kamal, are these technologies beginning to grow and scale. But what happens when these technologies converge with one another? And that's when we start to look at the merge pairing. And I don't care what kind of futurists that people want to call themselves, on a Morpheus scale, we really do not understand that, one, we're building the fundamental construct of smart city development, but two, we do not completely know what it is going to look like once these technologies are being able to intersect. And just with fintech, you see so many different avenues and different highways that are being constructed within that eco environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mess around with smart contracts quite a bit, and someone told me if last year actually, if we're not careful with DeFi, we're looking at possibly the same thing occurring with that would happen in 2008, the subprime mortgage crisis. What actually brought uh, Bitcoin to us. It was through all of those new fandangled financial instruments that just got out of control. And so I don't want to get too far off into that, but yes, there's some risk. There is certainly some danger. I don't necessarily know if regulation is going to help that. In some ways, regulation can actually hurt that. But I liked where you were going, where you were talking about the intersection of all these different technologies. And something I had an opportunity to participate in was the Black Technology Mentorship Program, which you were also the founder of. Could you talk a little bit about that and what you guys are accomplishing?
Sure, and we're so grateful for your service and your mentorship leadership within that ecosystem. I founded Black Technology Mentorship Program. We're now in our second year, and it's a mentee mentor program first, education and mentorship reimagined, and last mile fulfillment third, which we have a specific emphasis on the career path and emphasis on entrepreneurship. I'm no longer just dissatisfied with people that look like us that get jobs at Google and Apple. I'll be more satisfied when we build the next Google and Apple. And launching this initiative was made as a necessity. That Kamal, you'll absolutely understand this, that we as technologists, we as explorers and pioneers, not just those that work at Apple and Google, and that's honorable. I think that's amazing, actually, to get where many people in general have not gone. But for those that are like us and others that are out there that could not go to college to learn what we learned and understand about the technologies that we know, that we've learned by osmosis and self-taught, and that it actually makes sense, there was a need to be able to give the formulaic path or process for others to be able to go that route, but with the honesty of getting folks from other industries and other communities that don't look like you and us, that don't come from places where we come from, typically in urban environments or even country settings, but to get folks that come from different areas that we've benefited and network and learn with, no matter the color, no matter the gender, who we've built with, and pair them up with our young people and adults to create, if you will, a bridge, and saying, look, we have our hidden geniuses and we have our hidden heroes, and to help guide them towards a better way of simply which road to go. When we look at Black Technology Mentorship Program, we are fulfilling that right now through mentorship development, whether it's one-to-one session or one-to-group. And we have so many people that have joined on, including yourself with your leadership, that have come on and just simply left a video, a message, taught a course. And it has real world impact, not just to those that are here in the United States and North America, but South America, Africa, Europe, Australia, Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. We have over 172 different cities now and counting, and maybe 173 as of late, in over 27 countries where we have our students, Kamal, and 6 continents, and we're working on that 7th with Antarctica. But the idea is that now, if there's ever a time, we can talk about all the different disenfranchisement and diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. But when do we get to that point where we start talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and sustainability? You could tell me about D&I. You could tell me about culture. You could tell me, and Ray Charles can see it, all the things that are happening that is wrong because he's experienced it. seeing is not only with physical sight, but what I'm saying is, when do we get to that point where we think about sustainability and saying we have to help build a way for ourselves, but in concert with one another from other different communities, not to say we have the money, we got it from here as far as donations or whatever deal flow capital that we're able to amass or rise to get our communities up. But we're saying we need your camaraderie, your allyship, and your capital deal flow contribution to be able to help get us where we need to go. We can't do it alone. And so who has been able to create that bridge? I'd look high, long, and I did look at Black organizations that are so dedicated to technology that do a wonderful job, whether that's Black in technology, whether it's Afrotech and our people over there. But it does not address directly the biggest area that I think, and I am saying that is missing in the Black community today, is mentorship reimagined. And we now live in a place where we've been disrupted by technology. Technology is usually disrupted by technology. Never have we seen a time where where technology has been disrupted by a pandemic. Well, what does that mean, Kamal? As you and I yet sit here, this was almost the secondary way for people to communicate. This has become a first approach of base and an acceptable medium. And now we're coming to prove as an effective medium to express, communicate with one another in this remote hybrid world that we find ourselves in. So now we've been able to build a whole complete organization with Black Technology Mentorship Program, not subjected to location bias, not having to have commercial real estate, but a digital construct that we have built, and under the leadership of Diane Tucker, who is our governing director, has done just a remarkable job with her and our other leaders that we have with BTMP in helping Express build out this platform and getting folks the help that they need. And so that's where we're at. And when we think about the opportunities that we find ourselves with, when it comes to actually building out technology, when it comes to working with communities, when it comes to finding a way for us to be able to move forward, there's been enough talking and there's been enough blueprint on the table. But when did we get to the point where we don't have to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging? And when do we get to the point where we live it and it's not a situation, it's not an obstacle, and that we've moved on towards other greater obstacles and situations that may prohibit us from building great technology? As great as technology and all the things that we've built in the last 30, 40 years and accelerated in the last 10 to 15, as great as technology has been, technology will never be as great as it can be until everyone has the opportunity to build it. So everyone has an opportunity to be able to contribute. So that's where we find ourselves at today in this world, if you will. We're certainly hoping that some of that makes sense. Now, while we're waiting for Kamal to get back, excuse me, we want to take a look at, now that we are entering into this world of fintech, now that we're entering into this world of immersive technology such as extended reality and artificial intelligence, we now have to take a 30 to 40,000 foot view and go a little bit higher in understanding exactly what this technology means, what it means together, what it means for communities. And often I'm asked, where is the way in the direction that I should be going when it comes to actually contributing and building these technologies? There are some options for people to go to school, but as a United States Senator said a time ago, that Silicon Valley is more advanced in technology than the United States government itself. And it wasn't a slight on the government, but it was the actuality and the reality that technology is moving more at a rapid pace than anything that we've ever seen through the ages and dispensations of time. And so now that we're in a situation where we actually see technology moving in the direction that it's moving and moving how it's moving, we have to create a mentorship infrastructure and a foundation to be able to pass the information from peer to peer, person to person, human to human. We can no longer wait just for us to be able to go into a classroom that's built and go through all the different things that need to happen. We need to be quick, rapid fire information, and a lot of people need information quicker. But now that most people have now adapted and adopted video communication, and as we know, the most progressive technology that's been developed and refined over the last 20 years is communication. Now that we've been able to take advantage, whether we're dealing with common messenger app systems or WhatsApp, or dealing with FaceTime, or Zoom, or Hangouts, and BlueJeans, and StreamYard, and other platforms, now that folks have learned how to use this technology and to be able to configure and congregate together, whether it's in individual sessions or in group, now we have to find ways to be able to better assimilate and to distribute information. And so by doing that, there's going to be guidance and leadership and people that are going to need to be on deck to be able to build these constructs. Because undoubtedly what's getting ready to happen is that we're going to find ourselves when we go to work, not sitting in front of our desktop or laptop or iPad, but what we'll do is we'll find ourselves on our way to work, putting on a headset and stepping in and going to work in the Metaverse. And I'm happy to share more of that. And now that Kamal has arrived back with us.
Thanks, Chris. My power went out, so I'm doing my best to duct tape this together, and hopefully. Right, and this is one of the realities that we also need to face in this remote working habitat. I did really greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak before the Black Technology Mentorship Program. When you were putting it together, I just felt a very strong camaraderie with you, because at that same time during the pandemic, I saw what was happening with financial technology and the future of money. And just like I was compelled to write that book, you were compelled to put together BTMP. And it allowed me a way to have somewhat of a peer review of DeFi for the diaspora with your students. And I knew once I had a chance to present it to them and it made sense to them, that I was onto something. So I appreciate you providing that platform to me. The other thing, I don't know if you discussed it or touched on it when I was out, was her innovation, which is a new component to BTMP. Could you talk about that, or did you already get a chance to?
Not yet, but I'm happy to, Kamal, and we undoubtedly are grateful for your presence and your commitment to the Black Technology Mentorship Program and everything that you've brought thus far and that you continue to bring. And we're so looking forward, since you're speaking about your book and sharing that with so many of our students, that as you and I and our team figure out and attempt to find a way for them to get their hands on a copy and to learn. Her innovation, built by women and for women, because we've come to realize that there is a definite difference that we've experienced, even within our own program, but others. Different challenges that we've noticed that our women leaders in society are confronted with that men commonly aren't. And we knew that there's a lot of great and terrific programs out there that focus on women empowerment and entrepreneur development. So we had to survey the landscape and listen and ask ourselves, where might we fit in this discussion, Kamal, when it comes to women empowerment, even within our own ranks? So we decided to formulate and form a consortium of women under Diane Tucker's leadership. And for this group of leaders, 100%, to build out this initiative And it's just one of the most fantastic ones I've heard of that's out there. And there's some good ones out there. But what it does is, it doesn't say, hey, you want to become an entrepreneur today? Come here. We're not asking people to meet us where we're at. We've built a program to meet women where they're at. Not everybody is on the same positioning place on the pioneering path of entrepreneurship. So with our platform, our intention is to create entrepreneurs, but moreover, it's to give information to those that may want to become an entrepreneur or not. So our success isn't dependent on whether you become an entrepreneur or not. Our success is dependent on whether we are able to reach and give you information so that you can make a decision and to a great degree have a runway to become an entrepreneur if you so do desire to be one. And that's her innovation.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I want to take this time, anybody in the audience right now, if you want the chance to get more technical skills, to upskill, to learn about some of the things that are covered, be sure to check out the Black Technology Mentorship Program. So next, of course, the thing that we all want to talk about, and what I'm excited to talk about most of all, is hip hop coins. So can you tell our audience a little bit more about hip hop coins, what it is? I know you've been hanging on to this for quite some time now.
Sure, we're happy to share about it. And hip hop coins is for the culture. It's hip hop preservation, and it's virtual purist. Frankly, hip hop coins is a platform that myself and my business partners have come up with, and that we've been studying about its approach for some time now. And we saw an opening that we thought was appropriate to put it to market and to go public, which we have this week, and it's had a very wonderful reception. And this may be a shameless plug, but we encourage just everyone to go visit Hip Hop Coins, because there's something for everyone, not just our artists that are creating NFTs and want to flex their work, but it's also, and not just for ones that want to have NFT drops and want to showcase what they have coming down the pipeline, but it's for all those that don't understand what an NFT is, a non-fungible token. They don't understand terminologies like DeFi and smart contracts and proof of stake and proof of work and all the different things that we're coming to appreciate under the crypto asset fintech narrative. And so we've created this platform, not just out of a sense of a need to educate, but really out of a sense of love that we have for the culture itself. Hip hop is not just Black. It is not just Black and brown. It's everyone. It's everything when it comes to the hip hop centricity, sports, art, design, dance, gaming. Hip hop is so much, and who would have knew that hip hop would take it this far? Who would have knew that hip hop has grown the way that it's grown? When we think about the beautiful golden era of the 90s, to me personally, I think 1992. Between 92 and 97 had the purest era of rap music, whether that's in the South, West, in the East. I mean, and that's a debate that will always, all of us will have our differences. And when hip hop was great, and hip hop is still great to this day. It's greater, really, but it was so precious when you began to see it to really grow. When it was almost undefined, it's so raw. And now, Kamal, and you know this better than I, we're now able to capture those moments, preserve those moments digitally, and create in this ownership economy ways for people to create, express, share with one another, be rewarded for that, and somebody will take the thing that was in your mind or thing that was precious to you, this non-fungible asset, and to be able to keep that for her or himself, and to be able to promote that and put that either in a physical construct, or they can have that in their virtual environment, in their meta construct. And we just think that's absolutely amazing that you're able to do that in such a way where not only are we preserving the predecessors of this culture and what they've contributed responsibly, but we're also doing is we are inspiring a new medium financially of what this technology brings to the hip hop vertical as a whole, that if you're a musician, you're no longer having to be solely reliant on your deal flow capital raise on concerts, because that got cut off widely last year, this past pandemic. I mean, during the pandemic that we're still in, but with concerts, with swag, and then CD, vinyl, and stream distribution. That is not the only verticals that you have about you when you need and when you want to generate revenue as a musician today. And as an independent musician, or whether you're labeled up, now you can look at what does the NFT crypto asset world do for you, and how you can mint your whole brand and put that on the blockchain. But what we're doing at Hip Hop Coins, and I'm fine and comfortable with saying it here, is not only have we built the first hip hop community platform for NFTs, but we're also building the first hip hop metaverse in the world. And we've already started. And so Hip Hop Coins is undoubtedly going into the metaverse. Now, mind you, there may be people listening, well, I'm going to go out and build a metaverse. I welcome that. And if you're the first one to go public with that, great. But it's nothing like what's being built here. And given my background and expertise and my partner's background and expertise in what they do, we feel really good about the prospects of having a hip hop metaverse that's just going to be a game change for the culture itself. We have an opportunity to move beyond just having museums and Hall of Fames and building so much more, to the point where when we continue to go forward, hip hop will look like it was only in its infancy, which it is.
Yeah, you know what? This is this is the great thing about where we are today. You know, decentralization, it gets thrown around a lot, but you know, one thing, given this environment that we're in, education has been decentralized. Obviously, money is in the process of being decentralized. Now, with your platform, hip hop is being decentralized, right? If an artist so chooses, they can take the major label component out of the equation, go directly to their fan base in a peer-to-peer manner. And then once again, you throw on the AR VR component in there in the metaverse, like you talked about. This is a new era of hip hop that goes along with the technology. Right now, though, the major thing, once again, is the information. There is a technology gap within our community. I know you're trying to bridge it. I'm trying to bridge it. And let's do a little of that right now. So, I mean, earlier on, I stammered my way through what an NFT is. Can you give your definition of what an NFT is? And then after that, talk about your definition of what a metaverse is.
Sure. So NFT naturally will go for a non-fungible token, right? And when we talk about fungible, it's non-fungible, meaning that it's something that cannot be duplicated because it's a unique asset. And if it's fungible, then that means that there is something that can be duplicated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? That's kind of what we look at when we look at Bitcoin or look at Doge and things like that, which is fungible. When we think about something non-fungible, it's going to be a unique asset that only you can be the one to be able to obtain that and to be able to have that. And there's a technology called blockchain, as you know, Kamal. And on blockchain, you're able to have this through proof of work, take this non-fungible asset, and you're able to get it what we call minted. And when you get it mined, that information is going to go out to a ton of different computers. Ton of different computers that are going to lock that information in. And on this information, they're going to know that this asset that Chris and Kamal had minted, it is going to be fortified as a unique value, and it's only going to be theirs. And then what happens is we go to a place called Bitsky or Mintable or OpenSea, and we can put it on what's called a market or an NFT marketplace. and we put it out there for how much we want to sell it for, and we'll sell it and get it out there. Now, we had to pay a little bit of fees to get it minted, which we call gas, which brings us into Ether, right? Which is for Ethereum, which the prices are a little bit high. They're not sometimes fun, but we're paying a little bit of ETH, and we're getting that paid for. Now we've got this asset. Now it's minted. Now we can put it on whatever market that we want to put it on. We could put it out there, and so we put this asset out there. Someone buys it. He now owns this asset, but natively we are the owners of it. Say it 5 years down the road, she wants to sell it. She sells it and puts it on the market, and it goes, and it's already solidified on the blockchain that it's an asset, and it knows whose native owner it was. She sells it. We still get the benefit from that purchase. A lifetime of benefit of the purchase, because there's still those that built it out originally that are still able to financially benefit from the value that it's grown to be. So, an NFT in that capacity is a way for you to take what's precious and very finite to you. It's going to be your one of one, or you can do a one of 1,000, but you're one of one, and you can take that, you can solidify and mint its value to the chain and put it to market. Somebody will buy it, and that deal is solidified on the chain. Now, the metaverse, when we start talking about virtual and augmented and mixed reality, the metaverse is a place where worlds are developed in hyper-realistic, immersive, simulated environments, where we're able to, whether it's with a headset or not, we're able to walk into complete 100% virtual spaces and carry forth any given type of operations that the space allows us to be able to do. And in these spaces of the metaverses, you may find forest, you may find real estate of a commercial value or a residential value, or variety, if you will. You may find luscious green landscapes. You may find bleak and bland parking lots. The metaverse is a place where we go into operate to do things that we cannot do in physical spaces. It allows us, the length and breadth of it allows us to be able to operate and carry forth communications that we're simply not able to do in physical spaces, some say yet, but we're not able to do readily widespread. And we're able to buy and sell and trade and talk and play and learn and educate, communicate, and do all kind of wonderful and terrific things within the metaverse itself. And within these metaverses, there are different cities and towns and countries and worlds. There's sci-fi spaces and fantasy spaces. There's gaming zones and whatever you want it to be. You may go into a metaverse space that's solely dedicated to ornithology when it comes to the study of birds. You may go into a space that's only dealing with cosmogony. You may go and deal with a space that's dealing with astrology, right? Study of space.
Well, that was a great definition. And here's my next question, right?
Astronomy, sorry. I was thinking astrology, but astronomy, but go ahead.
Oh, no. We're right at the precipice of all this, right? And where do you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, when you say this, are referring to Hip Hop Coin's Metaverse?
Oh, well, I mean both. So Hip Hop Coins, you did allude to it where we're going with Hip Hop Coins. I'd like you to say that secondarily, but primarily, I'd like you to talk about where metaverses are going to be in 5 to 10 years from now.
A good indicator to understand the metaverse is to understand the internet. Technology often moves in increments shifts, and leaps. And incrementation is I just got an update iPhone. That's an increment. A shift may be, hey, there's a completely brand new phone and it came out from Apple. And it's such a game changer of a device. But a leap, the internet, cloud, the metaverse. We're building Internet 2.0 in Industry 4.0. We're building what was originally intentionalized, all the data. Remember, within 72 hours time, there's more data produced than all in the beginning of time, all the way to 2000. All the content that was ever amassed to produce, we produced that and come up with that in the 72-hour spans. That's called the internet. It's moving faster than what we truly realize. The metaverse is not something that we just interact with and watch. It's something that we interact with and feel. It's something that we experience. And within 5 to 10 years from now, what we might find ourselves being in is two fully constructed metaverses, manifold, where there will be a number of them. But just like when the internet started, there were a number of websites and platforms and search engines and things that came out. But only a few dominated and continued to rise. And ultimately, the people will decide what they want. Now, all these technologies that are in the eco-habitat, here's the other part. All of them abide within metaverses. We are now going into an area where all of these technologies matter and they're coming together. Even roboticism, especially roboticism. We're going to be able to travel and see and explore and educate in ways that we never could have even possibly fathomed and imagined. And it's amazing to even sit here and consider that. So in 5 to 10 years from now, we will have a manifold number of metaverses that have gone stream and gone to market in the consumer index, and some that will be built solely and specifically for enterprise. But I'll add this caveat too, is that you'll have metaverses that are horizontally appealing as well. Some that are specifically for hip hop centric culture. Some that will be specifically dedicated towards the arts of a different variety and of a different palette. We'll have some that may be solely specifically dedicated towards food and cuisine. But you'll have some that will have the whole menu. It's really simple, right, Kamal? When I go to a restaurant, if I go to a restaurant, I'm probably either going to go to a restaurant where there's big menu with everything on there for everybody at the table, or I'm going to go and there's 250 tables and chairs in the room, or I'm going to go to a restaurant with a small menu with a few things, and there may only be a few tables and chairs. And sometimes the one with the few tables and the less is more adage, there's lines out the door. And sometimes with all the tables and chairs, there's only a couple of people in there. So I believe that vertical we'll see more metaverses that are appealed towards those vertically speaking. But the ones that are open and robust, those will be significant.
So just circling back here, sorry about that. Metaverse, as you see it, when it comes to hip hop coins.
What I see for hip hop coins in the metaverse and what we see, and certainly we can't even talk about 75% of what I would like to talk with you about, but we're not ready to share all the details with that. But with the metaverse and the hip hop coins is, we believe not only do you listen to music, but you feel music. We believe that our poets and our artists, whether it's Tupac or Nas or Biggie or Jay-Z, shout out, whether that's the Wu-Tang Clan, shout out, that's E40 or Mr. Fab, whether that's Exhibit or Dr. Dre or Kendrick, whether that's Game, whether that's old school Large Professor, old school Run DMC, old school Gangstar, old school SIBO, old school Spice One, 50, Rick Ross, all these incredible artists, Drake. they all have cultures and microcultures to their music. And if they were given the tools to be able to express more about what they are putting out there, from the producer to Ninth Wonder to Premier to Dre to all these other incredible producers that are out there, to the artist itself, the poet, the engineers, and those that do incredible engineering, Rick Rubin type, and Pharrell, for them to be able to express their content deeply, visually, and to be able to create worlds based on their content, based on their culture and their ecosystems. It's one thing to have rock, and you heard it here first. You have rock, look, Rock Nation, Rockefeller. What about Rocket World? You think about No Limit Records. What about No Limit Nation, No Limit Planet? The capabilities and all the different things that you can do within those environments. And it doesn't necessarily have to be completely based on the lyrics. There's so many different self-help programs and different educational programs and things that they could build, but it's done as their own countries. Your own website right now is your real estate, or your social media sites, or your embassies. And part of the idea is to drive traffic from your social media sites, which are your embassies, to your country, which is your website, which is your real estate. And wouldn't you want to be able to express your real estate more with tools? We already do that with website, but if we're given more tools, then we would build more. But we won't build more if we don't have more tools. But if we have more tools to express ourselves even more, then we've already proven that we're willing to meet that where it's at in the website. Now turn that website into your own world, into your own planet, and your culture. Simon Sinek, people don't buy products and services, they buy culture. That's what the metaverse is. But I'll say this in closing: at the moment of this question, or the answer, you cannot have meta worlds without meta people. You cannot have meta worlds without meta people. And if the people don't have access to these worlds and to these spaces as a whole, then we yet find ourselves in a situation where we have not democratized enough and given due diligence and educated people on what they can do with their given ability and talents. So I'm more concerned about the meta people right now at the moment, we are through hip hop coins, than the meta worlds, because I could build all the meta worlds that I want, but if I don't have the people to build it, then what is it that I've built? You can't build a great metaverse without meta people.
Very true, sir. Very true. And I don't know where else to go from there. So do you have any closing words or anything else that you want people to know about yourself, about Hip Hop Coins, Black Technology Mentorship Program, anything that people should keep an eye on in the near future?
Well, there's a few things. One, I want to certainly thank you for the opportunity to be able to spend some time with you, Kamal. Secondly, special shout out to Black Technology Mentorship Program and everyone that's doing what they're doing over there in that camp and holding it down. We ask that if any of you or anyone that's watching, or if you know anyone that's in need, no matter the color, no matter the gender, they could find themselves with a home within the Black Technology Mentorship Program, and people that are willing to help you go further wherever you want to go in your career, to give you minimally advice and good guidance towards becoming an entrepreneur or joining a company and having a career path. Moreover, special shout out to Hip Hop Coins and the wonderful work that our team is doing with hiphopcoins.com and all the things that we do in that camp. And we reach out, and we sincerely are reaching out to anyone in the hip hop space that wants to build NFTs, wants to flex your work on our site, wants to get out there and have a profile. Anybody that's here, just mention and let us know. We'll get a basic program and a profile for free. If you want a free profile beyond basic and pro or elite, just come reach out to us, because that's just how we feel about it. We're not going to let money be an obstacle in the way. Too much opportunity for us to be stopped by money, right? So if you want to be part of this hip hop culture and the Hip Hop Coins program and what we're doing, and be some of the first influencers in this meta space, in this meta world that we're creating, come holla at us. Come build with us. Come get with us. We welcome you with open arms, no matter where you're from, anywhere around the world. If it's about that hip hop culture life, then special shout out to you for taking that next step. And thank you for everybody within this program that makes it what it is. And I just hope that you guys would just keep supporting Kamal and everything that he's doing in this leadership position when it comes to fintech. And I do think he's one of the most brilliant minds that fintech has been met with in this industry. I put that on wax because I mean it, because I know that he's been chopping wood in this space for so long. And I know that I've learned from him, and looking at how the relationship of fintech and the metaverse world is coming together, and we exchange things together and exchange notes. And so I'm so happy to continue to be able to break it with you in these particular times.
Hey, Chris, you're a true visionary. I would want nobody else on a Juneteenth program. We're talking about emancipation and intellectual emancipation. I definitely think about you, what you're trying to do to educate our community, educate artists, and empower artists. So thanks again for taking time out of your day to do this. I want to thank everybody at Black USA News and everyone for watching as well. Happy Juneteenth. Spend some time with your families. Stay cool. And keep your eye on the news. Black USA News.